on all that. I mean, people are going to see that even before I record it. So, but anyway, aloha, greetings, fellow earthlings. Welcome to the Conscious Bridge for Healing with Rob Z and Jen B. And we're kind of like going, like, we don't know what we really want to talk about, I would say. Would you agree, Rob?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're kind of like, we're not sure what's going to come out of us this time. Nothing's really planned. I don't have any surprises for Rob. So, and we kind of, one of the things that we were talking about is how, like before we got on here, is like the stuckness or the frustration or like what it feels like to be someone who, as a practitioner, right? Who is trying to help others on their healing path, right? And to know what's going on in the world, but you're helping people who don't. And you're helping them, trying to help them understand how to make better choices for themselves or to make the changes like to help them heal. And there's an interesting feeling about that. But I'll let Rob tell you who he is and what he does now, and then we'll talk more about that.
No,
Go.
you mean now?
Yes, right now.
Okay, well,
On cue.
I'm, I'm Rob Siemens, an acupuncturist in lovely New Jersey, and you can find me at silverneedlewellness.com. And I'm sure everyone knows me by now, unless we have some new fans.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, all right.
All right. Yeah. All right. So, and I'm Jennifer Bell and I'm in Kauai, Hawaii, but Rob and I went to acupuncture school together in New Jersey. And I'm here kind of I'm not using needles right currently, but I'm doing more meditative practices with acupuncture points, tuning forks, actually showing people how to just massage touch their own body like with their own hands to restore their natural healing algorithm. So kind of more
In not a dirty way.
not a dirty way. That's right. It's like it's more about how your own body is, like is a tool in and of itself to heal itself. So there's that. But yeah, so there's an interesting feeling. I feel like it's been building for a while personally, this stuck feeling. And I've been feeling it like as it's been building up towards, truthfully, towards this election. There's some strange, I can't explain it, kind of like nebulous thing going on where it feels like there's like this big kind of like stopping of things or like trying to put things in like a freeze state. So I feel this like not just personally, I feel like there's like a collective stuckness. Does that make
Can
sense?
you describe the freeze state?
Like people are so like at least what I would say, and especially just observing people, um, and this is not necessarily talking about the clients that I see, but I'm noticing what clients are saying about the people around them, right? So this is where it would come from. And that people are like getting solidified into a program or like it's like they've become even more solidified into a way of being that is really not allowing them to move through the creation or growth cycles, like they're stuck. That's how it feels to me.
Well, sometimes it feels safer to be stuck.
Right. The
Growth
trade.
is uncomfortable, right? Growth can be uncomfortable.
Hmm.
It can be scary.
Hmm.
It requires a little bit of daring. And, I can understand it. Sometimes I think we've probably all been there. Sometimes we just can't muster that kind of daring or curiosity or something like that. And, you know, when you to solidify something, at least there's some kind of clear boundary. And in some ways, you're less alone. You have you have a group of like-minded people to associate with and identify with.
Hmm.
And then also in some ways, maybe that takes, when we get into that, it helps kind of take maybe the responsibility away from us. Like, okay, I don't have to, I can surrender some of that now, and
Yeah.
which is ultimately not in our best interest, but it might seem easier at the time.
Yeah, and that what's interesting is that something just popped in, which I wanted to share with you. I saw, and I think it's a homeopathic nosode. It's considered Sora or Sorianum,
Mm-hmm.
and it said when you don't feel like you have the resources to grow. And I was like, well, shit, I think I need that right now. Like, or like, it's very possible that that's like the collective actually needs that. Like, there's this, whole, if you don't feel like you have the resources, the inner muster, the inner courage, right? The inner to grow, then you're going to keep yourself stuck because you just feel like you can't move on.
Serenum, huh?
Yeah. Do you have anything about that?
Yeah, put that in the water. Actually, don't put that in the water. Speaking of things in the water, did anyone
Mhm.
hear this? I'm going to read something I just saw come across.
Yeah. Yeah. Read it out.
Where the hell was it? Give me a minute. I'm not a technology person. Federal judge rules fluoride is a neurotoxin in historic lawsuit. Fluoride poses an unreasonable risk of reduced IQ in children, according to a U.S. federal court. On Tuesday, a federal court in California found the fluoridation of water at 0.7 milligram per liter poses an unreasonable risk of reduced IQ in children. Judge Edward Chen. So how about that? That happened yesterday.
Well, that's interesting, right?
That's
Like
pretty big.
it's very big, but you know what I think is, what's like what's obscuring that is the whole rap industry kind of P. Diddy thing is all people are, a lot that's very loud right now. Um,
Oh,
the diddler or whatever they're calling him.
what
Um,
do they call him?
the diddler because it's all
Oh,
about child sex trafficking and all that. But so on the other side of it, right, we have him with this story about children, really, right? It's about children and all these harm against children. And look what's happened, right? It's it's finally kind of out in the open. Now a federal judge has ruled, and maybe people accept that? What changes? Like, because I'll sit here and go, okay, you ruled, but is anything going to happen? What's going to happen and the FDA level? What's going to happen to the water supply? Is anything going to happen? Is there any change
oh, yeah, right. And then also your dentist can't charge you an extra $40 for slathering fluoride on your teeth anymore,
for
right?
poisoning you?
Yeah, they're not going to like that.
Yeah, yeah,
My dentist doesn't do that, but yours
yeah.
might.
Well, yeah, he's still really, I consider him still my dentist. That's it. When I come back for a visit, I'm definitely gonna go see him. And that's Phil Memley. He's in Berkeley Heights, New Jersey. So if you're looking for um a biological or holistically minded dentist, Rob and I definitely recommend him. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Who
good
else?
guy.
He has like a whole wall of flower essences and gem essences and all kinds of essences that he gives you. Like he'll, if I think if you're open to it, I don't know if he does that with everyone. He'll take you down.
Yeah, I kind of feel like you have to be an initiate to,
Yeah,
in some sense, right?
right, right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Philistines don't go there. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's interesting, like, because I think that's I'm so happy that like you told me about that. Like it gives me that sense of like, oh, maybe something's moving, right? Maybe something's gonna happen. But all this stuff that's been revealed and nothing's happened. Nothing's changed. It's got the same old shit happening. What the F, man? What the F is
Right.
F? And people can't even take it in. That's what I mean. It's so, I would say it's so disturbing to me that people don't give that the weight it deserves. Their children, people are parents, their children, us, even as children, right? Because I had fluoride treatment as a kid. I think they
Yeah.
started they see the first dentist I had was a family friend and he didn't do that. As I got older, the other dentist started to do that. So that got introduced around puberty for me, I remember. And I never liked it and it felt weird and I didn't know how to explain it or to say anything about it. Um, because that was what was normal, right? Like that you just trust whoever, right? Is you trust the dentist, and that's the my parents did. And in fact, that first dentist who did it was our lifeguard growing up in Belmar.
Oh, really?
So my parents really trusted him.
And he was the guy who did not give the fluoride?
He did.
He did. Oh, okay.
You see how that goes?
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, better living through chemistry, right?
Right, right, right. And then say he's the same dentist that so I have some kind of red hair gene because Novocaine doesn't work on me. And so I had a baby tooth that I was at a friend's house and I ate a nut like and I didn't realize I didn't take the shell off. We were using a nutcracker and it was a walnut and it cracked the baby tooth. So I had to go in and he had to pull the baby tooth. And I kept telling him I can feel everything you're doing. And he kept giving he didn't even like I went through a tooth extraction feeling the whole thing.
That's a redhead thing?
Yes.
Really?
Yeah. So they don't use
Oh,
Novocaine
that
anymore.
explains a lot. What's that?
They don't use Novocaine anymore.
What do they use now?
They have other cane variations. I think what tests well for me, because memory will test you if you have to have any work done.
Yeah.
Septicane works for me.
Okay. Interesting. Very interesting. Wow. Well, see, that's why you're so smart because you didn't get fluoride in your formative years,
Maybe.
right?
No, I think I had to break through some shit, honestly. I feel like my whole life I've just been it could be I could say like banging my head against the wall, kind of trying to shake up and get rid of like break up all the stuff, right? That's like it kind of infiltrated my intelligence and I never thought I was smart. Like in my perception, like because my brother, the firstborn, the engineer, he was smart, right? He's just he's a good obedient matrix servant, I would say. He's he knows how to do that, right? Where I have always quietly been saying, none of this feels right, but I don't know what else to do as a kid. Makes sense.
Well, you're just not susceptible to hypnotism.
Right. So I don't know what else to do. I'm sure I'm susceptible to hypnotism, but like you know, I don't know what else to like I didn't know what else to do except not study so like try to commit what I was learning to school to such a degree of memory. Like my whole tactic was I'm just going to do enough to get a decent grade. That's it. Because none of this feels right. And I don't want to give it a lot of my time or energy. That was my strategy. And I really didn't think I was smart until like I started going until I went to massage school. Until I went to massage school, that started to shift a little bit for me. But it is interesting because even like, so it's like, I think about, okay, so intelligence and communication, when we're talking about feeling stuck, it's like, how do you communicate to someone that's basically, it's like if you try to tell them, um, you could be having problems because of fluoride, let's say, right? Because that fluoride could be causing problems for them.
Hmm.
And it goes against the mainstream. How do you even communicate this to them when there's so much rhetoric that no, it's fine?
Yeah, well, I mean, I run up against that every day.
Right.
You're saying something contrary to the narrative, number one. Number two, people, I don't know, people come to us for our expertise, but don't respect it when they hear it.
Right.
In
Like,
another sense,
yeah, yeah.
you know.
Yeah, but it can feel, to me, it feels like one of the things. So the other thing, like, like how I kind of feel the whole collective stuckness is that if you dumb down and kind of like create these like numbers of people, like thousands, millions of people, it's really probably millions, who are just kind of like the wife in the Truman Show. Well, why don't you just have some Choco Cocoa today? Like you'll feel better, kind of like just spouting out the programming. Uh, I kind of look at it like, well, if you're a person who wants to grow in consciousness, how does it affect the collective to have these millions of people just running these regurgitation programs all the time? Like, how does it impact the people who are not wanting to be that, who are wanting to grow in consciousness? Does that make sense? Like collectively, because
Say that again.
we're in a collective, right? There are millions of people who are just regurgitating program. That's that's all they can do. They've not moved beyond it. They don't understand consciousness or how it works or contemplate any of that stuff. They don't,
Okay.
right? And we're lumped in with them, people who are like at least trying to grow in consciousness or through consciousness.
Who's lumping us in with them?
Well, we are all lumped together in this realm, right? We're all
Okay.
together, right? It's not we're not together because we're here in this realm and there's a collective consciousness, right? There's a collective unconscious. What happens, like how does it impact the growth of consciousness or the creation cycle if you have millions of people who are just stuck, like are never going to grow?
Well, I imagine it's always been that way.
Right? Yeah, but it feels really loud, and maybe it's just loud to me right now.
Maybe.
Maybe that's just me, right? But
To those of us not with the program, sure.
right.
Yeah. Well, you have people trying to find an authentic way, an authentic path to growth. Then you have people who don't want to hear about it or don't care and are happy being where they're at.
Mhm.
And then you have the group that's actively trying to manipulate going in a certain direction, right?
Mhm.
And that's so much worse.
Yeah, yeah. But I think it does impact us as practitioners, meaning it impacts it impacts the whatever you want to call it, the medicine, the process, the what we can offer. It impacts the flow of chi, whatever it is, however you want to
Yeah, I would
describe
agree
it.
with that.
Yeah. And then it's like the way I feel it or sense it, it's like I have to, so if I'm with someone who's definitely like really, really programmed, that's just the way I'm going to say it. Like they're just running these programs. I'm in a state of like trying, trying making sure like I don't go and, like kind of get how do I relate to them? Like so there's this like I can almost feel this like equation, like computing. I'm trying to compute, right? How to be able to be in a conversation with them,
How to meet them where they're at.
how to meet them where they're at without, kind of dulling or dimming.
Right. Yeah. Well, that takes real talent.
Yeah.
Not everyone can do that.
Yeah. So part of it is like how I've done it is I just try to listen. I'm trying I just listen without trying to is that for you?
You hear that?
Yeah. Is that
Yeah.
oh yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, all right. Anyway, like without trying to figure I don't want to try to figure anything out for that person. I
I'm sorry. What do you mean figure out?
That's like that computing. Like I don't need to try to figure out I understand they're running a program. I don't need to like do more than that.
Okay.
I don't need to know like so why are they running a program, right? Like unless they're my client, that's another story, right? Why is this program running? I mean, the simple question like answer, right, is that they've been, programmed to run the program, like basically just being in society here, right?
Okay.
They've been
Right.
programmed to
We've
run,
all been programmed to run the program. On some of us, it just doesn't take.
right?
Um, but yeah, so were you trying to figure out how to deprogram somebody?
Not unless they
No.
ask me to.
Okay.
Right. There are
Okay.
times it's hard for me, like so recently, I had a conversation with people that were, the way they were talking about the lockdowns, I was like, but do you know about this? Like, I couldn't, the other part of the struggle, I would say, is I don't want to adhere to the lies that they're telling themselves, the lies that they've accepted as truth. And I just, to be around it, it's difficult.
Yeah. 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 So
But it's like,
sometimes you have to wonder, right? Do they really believe that? Or are they trying to convince themselves that, you know?
right, are they just kind of like basically what I'm saying is they don't have an ability to question what they're saying.
Yeah. Or maybe they're scared too.
They're scared to, right? They're scared to, or they don't have the ability to. Like I think some people just actually don't have the ability to.
I think some people don't, and I think other people are trying to convince themselves.
Yeah, yeah.
They seek secretly doubt their innermost being doubts, but yet, all right, I have to go along to get along, kind of a
Hmm.
they're gaslighting themselves on some level.
Right. Yeah.
But I guess you just kind of have to meet the person where they're at. I think. Whoa, I mean, this brings up something huge. I mean, like
Okay.
as a practitioner,
Hmm.
when you want something more for a person than what they want for themselves,
Ah.
that's something that's tricky, right? And it's not like, oh, I want this person to be a certain way or whatever, but it's like, okay, how do we uncover this person's genuine expression of themselves?
Hmm. When they don't want it,
I want that.
right?
Right.
And they don't want it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That's yeah.
That's it right there. Like that's it because
Right.
that's what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like I said, it's not I don't want them to look at things my way or act a certain way or
Right.
whatever, but it's just trying to, all right, how do we bring this person into their genuine expression of themselves? And then they have other ideas
Right.
or
It's like this,
something.
it's like I could break this down to something really simple. It's like, um, staying in a relationship with someone because you know their potential, but they never live it.
Wow. Yeah.
Right? I could fix them.
Ooh, okay.
Right?
Hmm.
Right. They have so much potential though.
Right.
Making excuses. I mean, that's not what we're doing as practitioners, but it's the same, it's kind of in the same vein.
Right. You're just waiting for them to wake up
And it's
and you don't, and you lose
yeah,
your patience. Yeah.
it may never happen.
Right. It may never happen. Yeah.
Wild.
Yes.
So it's
So how do we navigate that, Jennifer?
I don't know. I mean, because part of me is just going, I can only get them to, I can ask them questions and help them get to where in their mind they think they need or want to be. If something opens, but it's part of why I kind of like, okay, I just leave it up to the acupuncture points. Here, just tune into this point. See what happens. Do this meditation with this point. So that I just stay out of the process. In a way, I just say, well, yeah,
Right. We're just holding space for something to happen, whatever needs to happen
right. Like so that
at that time.
I'm not projecting, right? I'm not, and if I want to
Right.
bring astrology into it, I'm not it depends on what astrology you follow. Like so and tropical on Pluto and Libra and sidereal on Pluto and Virgo, but Pluto and Libra is all about projection. So it's all about there's a lot of mastering. Um, it's like projecting. Libra itself, right, is about mastering projecting onto others, like so that you start to realize you're projecting onto others their potential, what you think they are when they're really not that. So you're just projecting a potential you want, even if it is their true potential, but it may not even be the potential they can get to. So I look at that, that's a function of Libra, it's a function of balance, it's a function of weighing, it's a function of calculating, right? So that's why I've like backed away. I created this other modality, and then I started to see how what was like what was happening and how it was working, and I said, you know what? I'm gonna back everything off. I'm gonna back, way back, and then just like all I really need to do is get people to focus on their own body and energy and see what shifts. Let them be present to what can shift for them. What shift, what transformation can they digest?
Hmm. Yeah.
For me, it's all about digesting reality. And then watching myself if I'm projecting or pushing forward or going, oh, but if they could only, and then so part of me just, that's it. Like, I have to be in this neutral space. Here's this thing that I offer. Here's, I can't, here's what it can do. It's can help you digest transformation, whatever transformation you have the capacity to digest right now.
Right.
And then for them to go, oh, this is the transformation, and me going, great, I'm glad, like that's it. Sometimes I have to give them a frame to see through. Like I have to go, this frame here you're looking through, this is what it's giving you, right? You can see it. Like, so I get them to see, like, you understand that this is what that's creating. Can you see that? And then I'll go, how about using this frame of looking at something? And if it doesn't work, it's fine. Because it's not necessarily the way I see it. It's just that maybe they need a different frame or a net. Like if I bring it to uh not even necessarily biogeometry, but bring it to Robert Gilbert talking about to me, it's like the net of all consciousness. And the net that they're using is only catching, it's not it's maybe it's catching crabs and they don't want crabs. They want like, they want to catch some flounder. I don't know. Makes sense.
Right.
Can you hear that?
Reminds me of the Big Lebowski.
It reminds you of who? What?
The Big Lebowski,
Oh, I love the Big Lebowski.
right?
I
It
should
really
watch
tied
that
the room together, dude.
again. I really gotta I have to watch that again, even though like I have this like this is my own thing. It's kind of going just basically what the hell, Jeff Bridges, right? That's who played the Big Lebowski. Like
Yeah, the
he's
dude.
basically said some definite woke kind of stuff where I'm like, dude, you don't deserve the Lebowski. You don't deserve it. You didn't deserve that.
You mean
Like you're disgracing the Lebowski itself.
he said some stuff off
Yeah, as a
out
person.
of character? You mean as Jeff Bridges?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I'm not aware of that.
Yeah, he said some stuff that's like whatever. It's like, whatever kind of nonsense trying to persuade people to vote in a certain direction. I'm like, oh,
Well, I guess if you want to continue to have roles, you got to say certain.
yeah, you got to toe the party line.
Yeah,
Yeah. 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 So the other thing that's interesting, so like, you know, I have my own personal stuckness, and then like I'm seeing this collective stuckness, and stuck is the large intestine. And we're going into like the metal season, right?
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. A lot of things could be stuck. I mean, you could be stuck for all kinds of reasons.
Yeah. Hmm.
But if you want to stay in that paradigm, yeah, right.
Yeah. Yeah. But definitely, I think people don't, maybe they don't understand what it is to have like to be on the practitioner side of things. And, you know, what that means. Like, how do you not entangle yourself in the client's or patient's healing path?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You have to keep that distance. On some level, you have to remember it's just a job,
Right.
right? I mean, not to be callous about it, but it's just a job. At some point, you have to go home and forget about it.
Gotta go home and drink your bone broth.
Yeah, yeah. Um, yeah, it's an interesting space to kind of navigate.
Hmm. Yeah,
But
sure is.
yeah, I mean, I guess in some sense, you just have to trust the process,
Hmm.
allow what will arise is the thing that needs to arise at the time.
I think it's an interesting thing, like being a practitioner for so long and noticing even my own growth. Like, I used to be so worried about doing it right or getting it right or things like that. And now I actually don't worry about that so much. Um, and I think that the people don't realize that's an ego thing. Like, so there are people that like, they act as I'm the God that healed you, right? I'm the God, right? I'm the doctor. I'm the priest, whatever. And then there are people on the other side of that equation that are always doubting themselves, um, not trusting what they can do, uh, feeling like they have to study all the time, putting a lot of pressure on themselves. And it's still like an egoic thing.
Hmm.
And so like that, I look at that for me, like going, oh, like could have been on the other side where I became very egoic and very narcissistic, right? And but if you're really on the growth path, you're gonna get smacked down. You're gonna get, your ego blows up or it collapses. You're gonna get you're gonna get something, especially if you're just committed to the work. And it's really hard, I think, to be a practitioner these days and be committed. I wanted to tell you that someone else a lot I keep hearing over and over again from people that I know that do body work, that, do energy healing, that they're not seeing I would say, the bounty of clients they used to see. They're kind of feeling squeezed financially.
Hmm. People all over.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Everywhere. Everywhere.
Okay.
Yeah. All over. But I also think that, like, if you want to run your practice like an egotistical, doctor, you might be more successful because those people want someone to treat them that way. People are used to the
Mhm.
people like the abuse.
They like the abuse.
I think they do.
Is that?
Yes.
Well, maybe it's just what they're used to. Maybe they
That's what
don't
I
like it
mean. Yeah.
necessarily, but
Yeah. That's what I'm being a little bit extreme by saying that. And maybe that'll piss people off enough to, like, say, I don't like it, whatever it is. But, it's my channel, so I could say what I
there you go.
want. But like that. Like, I think people want that. They want to feel diminished. They want an authority to rule over them. And if you're, I think those are the people that are still, seeing clients.
Well, right. Maybe because it's authentic for them, but it's not authentic for another person. That's just a quick way to burn out,
Yeah.
right?
Well, I have no desire for that. No desire.
Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah, that opens up a whole thing when I think about all the treatments I've observed by other these kind of practitioners because we've had to observe, right? Um, when you're in school, like you have to do observation. And I think about I kind of look at it like, it's interesting. Like, are they really good practitioners or are people just because I haven't seen that necessarily, like where I kind of go, like, oh, it's a lot of cookie cutter stuff. Um, and I wonder if people just, okay, this is gonna help me, so because it's gonna help me, and then they put the acupuncture needles in, and some flow gets restored and some things heal, and it's effective. Is it effective because it's effective, or is it effective because I think it's effective? That's
Whoa.
right. Or am I looking at that practitioner because in a way where I'm diminishing them because I don't like the way they're practicing? There's that other piece too.
Well, it's complex,
Hmm.
but I'm glad there are different kinds of practitioners to
Choose from, right?
handle all the different kinds of people
Right.
that are out there, right?
Right.
You should
Uh-huh.
find the one that's right for you. I just wish there were more people like us.
Yeah. Well, I'm finding that kind of like like that sense of like loneliness, aloneness. Uh, like what the healer archetype really is and what we have to go through, what happens, if that's part of the path.
Is this Jungian or something else?
Mm, I mean, you can look at the wounded healer, you can think about Chiron. Um, why is that there, right? Do we, to be good healers, why do we have to be so wounded? Because I wouldn't necessarily, it's like, you know, if we look at it like through that lens, like these other practitioners, are they wounded too? Does that make them, like it's a whole, like it's a whole thing because that all, whenever Chiron was found somewhere in the 1970s or something like that. Um, and like, Carl Jung talking about the wounded healer archetype. Why did that, I look at it like, is that an infiltration? Is that
What do you mean infiltration?
meaning like, is that something that's been put upon us as a people so that like the ones that I would say that are healer archetypes, is that story like something that's not really healthy for us?
Well, I think it's one thing to maybe recognize it and something else to romanticize it
Mm. Mm.
and feed into that, right?
Right, right.
Maybe
But
you
like,
can recognize it and not have to feed into it.
well, it's kind of like the other piece of it is like I look at it like this, like if you are the healer archetype, that's the only way I can say it. Like you're interested in healing, right? Someone is
Okay.
That's the thing. Like you're drawn to it, you're interested in it, you want to know more about it. It's kind of like what drives you, right? As you're investigating it, are you creating a wound? Meaning like as you're trying to understand that, is that what creates the wound?
Maybe if you're trying to, maybe if it's a process of becoming,
Or mhm, yeah,
that's something to probably be on the watch out for,
right,
on the lookout for. Are you trying to convince yourself of something? Are you trying to
right,
get into the role a little too deeply
right. Yeah.
instead of seeing what's there and recognizing it, but trying to actually do it as a way of indulging?
Hmm.
That's just part of protecting your mind, of seeing.
Yeah. Yeah. It's an interesting thing. Like I think about that because, you know, the whole Chiron myth, is he got wounded, I think, with a his own arrow, a poison arrow that he created to help Hercules.
Hmm.
Don't quote me. I have to look at that. Like I find it interesting. So like there's different ways to look at it. And one, one frame to look at it is that like that's something that was brought in to really deter people at this time exactly, right? To help others grow.
Maybe. Or you could just look at it as a broader truth,
Hmm. Yeah, but
right?
yeah. Hmm.
Things we the things we stand for are exactly the things that are going to kill us, right? They're
Right,
going to come get us in the end, you know?
right, like a boomerang, right?
Yeah, boomerang, exactly.
Yeah, yeah. It's also like the other thing I think about. I forget who said this. I don't remember where I heard it, but it's something about like touching sick people, like being around sick people, touching their sweat, like, and the other frame to look at is like if you're around people that are sick all the time, like you're taking all that in, you're breathing in all that air, you're touching their, their skin, all that, everything. It's all about that.
Okay.
Makes sense?
Well, I guess it kind of rubs off on you if you think it's normal or it's the way to be, or, that's just the way it is without having a larger view.
Right, but in consciousness, if you think about it through that frame, like you become what you take in the most, right? That would be like the frame, that frame, like of if you want to shift your consciousness, be around what you want to be.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure we've all heard that. Sure.
Yeah, but what I'm saying as a practitioner, and you are in contact, you're breathing in the air or the mal aire, right, of the people that are have a sickness.
Well, I mean, if we're giving advice to practitioners here, you have to go out and do the things that are going to recharge you,
Right, recharge and like,
not
yeah, and cleanse.
rejuvenate.
Right. So what does it take? Like it's like it's kind of like getting into the space of like your what capacity do you have to handle, right? How much can you handle before it starts to impact you? Meaning like knowing, it's kind of like tuning in to knowing like, oh, this is it, this is all I can really tolerate at this time.
Hmm. Hmm. Sure, that's important.
Yeah. And I could see
For
why. Like
sure.
in some ways I've needed a long break from in-person work.
You think that was happening to you?
I think part of it was like this drive to like get to the bottom of things, to know, what was going on, and to try to find the way to help people. Um, we could say that was best, right? Knowing that like all the things that I'd looked at so far, um, weren't really getting what the result, like kind of like the results I wanted to see. And I think that was my whole thing of like, well, this person, like that projection of like their potential could be doing, why don't they want to do this?
Mm.
Like I have an example of uh, a client got the flu shot, lost her hearing, and I recommended that she like because it was right after, right? It was like during like it wasn't like she came to me 10 years later. It was like, she was my client while this was all happening. And my sense was to tell her like to lay off of things that feed inflammation, like dairy and sugar and like wheat, like but she had like this is a woman in her early 60s, a PhD, having a tantrum, like telling me, well, I don't have time to shop. Like, so you're never going food shopping again.
Yeah, how do you get all the stuff that's bad for you?
Right, exactly. Like and I'm like, this is also part of the pathology is like overworking. Like you need to rest. Obviously something's going on. And the unwillingness to do something simple, something small
Hmm.
that could have a great impact when you've lost the ability to hear as well as you could. They're like, yeah. So that's, like that would just be so frustrating for me. To be like, okay, do what you want.
Right.
But
Bucket dude.
yeah, obviously you don't want to hear.
Let's go bowling.
So anyway, so I think after having many, many years of that, I needed some time away from it. So to kind of reorient it to a different way. And that different way is kind of like birthing right now. I don't even know exactly what it is yet. I mean, part of it is still doing the acupuncture points, like as what I would call as, meditative tools, using them that way for people. But I think there's more other things that are going to be added to that.
Hmm.
So yeah,
It's a
we
process.
it's a process. It's definitely a process, but and some of it is just we're just having a conversation, talking about the stuff we think about that we deal with, hoping to help people on their path and to help maybe other practitioners like hear this that are also experiencing the same things. I go like, hey, you're not alone, even though it feels like a lonely path sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah. N'est-ce pas? Got anything
What?
else? N'est-ce pas? I'm saying speaking French. Makes sense? Yeah. So anything else before we conclude? Because hey, we didn't think we were gonna make it an hour with this conversation.
No, I didn't think we're over, aren't we?
Yeah, well, a little bit. Yeah.
Wow.
I
Yeah.
know,
No,
right?
that's all I got.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So we're gonna conclude. If there's something you want us to talk about, then just let us know. Like let us know in the comments below on Facebook or YouTube or wherever you see this.
Or
And
something you don't want us to talk about, in which case we'll be sure to talk about it.
yes, that's right. Rob, your face is priceless. We'll be sure to annoy you and trigger you. All right. So,
Because we want you to grow.
yeah, we want you to grow. That's our projection onto you. Grow,
That, yeah,
damn it, grow.
because we know better.
All right. So, yeah, we'll see you all next time. Thanks. And you can find Rob at Silver Needle Wellness, and you can find me at structuredbysoul.podia.com for now. But actually, you should probably find me on Substack, Jennifer318798 on Substack. All right, so I'm gonna stop recording. I'm gonna stop the live stream. I'm gonna